What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Black Ops 6. And in today's episode, we're going to be moving over to the SMG category today, and we're going to be covering the brand new SAUG SMG that came with Season 1. And starting it off as always, let's have a look at our damage profile, and with this gun, it's actually going to be a 5 to 9 shot kill depending on the range, and it does jump immediately from a 7 shot kill up to a 9 shot kill, so that's a pretty harsh drop off there. Then when it comes to base headshots, just like most of the other SMGs, headshots are literally useless on this gun unless you're using the CHF barrel. It'll take you the exact same number of shots to kill to the head as it will to the toe. However, if you do use the CHF barrel in the second damage range and in the minimum damage range, if you're mixing enough headshots in, you can reduce the number of shots to kill. But that doesn't apply in the maximum damage range, and as a result, I would say generally the CHF barrel is not worth it. As for our rate of fire, this is quite fast at 909 rounds per minute, and what this means for our time to kill potential is up close with that 5-shot kill, we're killing in 264 milliseconds, which is actually a little bit worse than average for SMGs. Not by a large margin, this isn't a bad time to kill by any means. I just wanted to point out that this is below average, and there are many other SMGs that will be killing faster up close. Now, as for the rapid fire attachment, this will boost our rate of fire up to 1017 rounds per minute, which is insanely fast for this game, and that will now give us an up close time to kill potential of 236 milliseconds, which is now very, very fast for this game. After that, let's dive into our ranges, and as you can see here, our 5-shot kill potential is 11.4 meters. This is fairly standard for an SMG, nothing really out of the ordinary. Then our 6-shot kill potential extends out to about 20 meters, and then finally that drop-off point where it goes from a 7-shot kill immediately to a 9-shot kill, this is 27.3 meters. And it's also worth noting our bullet velocity is 525 meters per second, which is fairly standard for an SMG, and this gives us a hit scan range of about 26 meters. As for barrels that impact range or velocity, the gain twist barrel will give us a 45% boost to velocity, the long barrel will give us a 30% boost to range, and the reinforced barrel gives us a 15% boost to range and a 30% boost to velocity. And in my opinion, with SMGs, generally speaking, you're best off going with either the long barrel or the reinforced barrel. Either one of those are great choices. The gain twist, on the other hand, I just feel you're not getting as much effectiveness out of this since it really helps to boost the damage range values themselves. Now on top of that, I do want to have a look at rapid fire, which reduces both our range and velocity values by 10%, but of course, we are getting a time to kill boost with that faster rate of fire, so you can see the values there. And now let's dive into hardcore game modes, and unfortunately, this gun will only be a 1-shot kill in hardcore with a headshot in the maximum damage range, or if you're using the CHF barrel, that will extend your 1-shot headshot potential to the second damage range as well. But then let's get into our hipfire values, and the SAUG is right around that realm of average for hipfire for an SMG, which is not bad at all. This gun definitely can hipfire quite effectively in really close quarter situations. Then when it comes to our recoil, this gun's got a lot of horizontal recoil. For the first 15 or so rounds that you fire, it kicks upward and fairly strong to the left, and then suddenly, after those 15 rounds, it cuts super hard to the right while continuing to kick upward. So this is a pattern you really have to learn if you are going to be holding that trigger down beyond 15 rounds. Otherwise, that will take you off guard in a lot of situations. And also, I would recommend leaning toward horizontal recoil attachments, so those underbarrel foregrips, in order to cut down on that horizontal recoil as much as possible. Now, as always, I also want to look at the recoil with the CHF barrel. This adds a lot of recoil to the gun, and like I said, it doesn't even help with headshots in close quarters engagements, and as a result, I'd rather just maintain accuracy. Even if I'm going for headshot camos, I'm not going to be using the CHF barrel. And with rapid fire, unsurprisingly, there's also a lot of recoil with this, and therefore, again, generally speaking, I'm going to be staying away from rapid fire on this gun, because that's just too much recoil for the benefits that you gain from that. Now, moving on, let's get into our handling stats, and our aim down sight time is quite solid at 200 milliseconds. Same thing with our sprint to fire time. This is better than average even for SMGs at 115 milliseconds for our standard sprint out time and just 200 milliseconds for our tactical sprint out time. Whereas for both our slide to fire and dive to fire times, these are just standard for SMGs. All of the SMGs are the same in these areas at 320 milliseconds and 400 milliseconds respectively. Then let's talk about our reload time a little bit, and by default we do have a 36-round magazine capacity, and this reloads in 1.53 seconds, which is better than average for SMGs, but honestly not an amazing reload time, and it is something you do have to plan out, especially if you're playing very aggressively, which you generally should be with an SMG. However, we can use the flip mag to speed that up nicely. With this, we will alternate between 1.35 and 1.33 seconds every second reload. Or we could use the fast mag, which will drop our magazine capacity down to 30 rounds, but give us a reload time of 1.12 seconds, which is extremely fast. Or alternatively, we could go for the larger mags, and with Extended Mag 1 at 45 rounds, we reload in 1.77 seconds, and Extended Mag 2 with a 55 round mag will reload in 2.07 seconds. And then finally, for the base stats of this gun, let's have a look at our movement speeds. And our base movement speed is above average for an SMG at 5.15 meters per second. Same thing with our aim walking speed. This actually has the fastest aim walking speed in the SMG category at 3.65 meters per second. And then both our sprint and tactical sprint speed values are also above average for SMGs, which is excellent, at 6.8 meters per second and 8.2 meters per second respectively. So this is an area where the SAUG absolutely excels, even for an SMG. It's really good at just getting around the map quickly and also strafing in gunfights. And with that, it's now time to get into some of my favorite attachment combinations to use with the SAUG. And the first one is just my typical balanced stealth build. With this, of course, we're using a suppressor. We've also got that vertical foregrip to help cut down as much as possible on that horizontal recoil, and it does definitely help, especially with that initial left-leaning recoil, which is where most of your gunfights will be taking place. It doesn't cut nearly as hard to the left, which is nice. We're also rocking Extended Mag 1 on this, just because even with a 36 round mag, you do burn through those pretty quickly with this high fire rate, so that extra 9 rounds actually goes a long way in my experience. We're also using the ergonomic grip, which helps with our ADS speed, slide to fire speed, and dive to fire speed, which is great for an SMG. And then finally, we're topping it off with that infiltrator stock, which gives us an aim walking speed of 4.4 meters per second. This is the fastest I've seen in the game so far for a primary weapon. And that's one of my favorite things about the SAUG in this game, is your ability to strafe really effectively in gunfights. So that's the first one, and definitely my go-to build for the SAUG. However, I also want to take a look at a Gunfighter build. If you have access to 8 attachment slots, what should you put on that? And with this one, I decided to really build for accuracy. So we've got the compensator as well as that vertical foregrip. I think that's a very nice and controllable recoil pattern now. We're also using the long barrel to stretch our damage range as much as possible, as well as the overpressured ammo to boost our bullet velocity alongside that. So we're not only boosting that damage range, we're also boosting our hit scan range nicely. And then after that, we're using Extended Mag 2 on this one, just because I really wanted to have the big mag on this. We once again have that ergonomic grip as well as the infiltrator stock, and then we're topping this off with the target laser, which just helps with your aim walking steadiness. So when you are strafing back and forth in a gunfight, your sights aren't moving around nearly as much when using this laser, and it's not a highly visible laser by any means, so the downsides on it are quite negligible in my experience. And then finally, for the last build I wanted to share for you guys, something interesting about the SAUG is we have access to the Akimbo attachment in the stock section for this, and it will block off your underbarrel grip. And with this, my personal favorite build with Akimbo is using the suppressor, so we can stay off the radar to help us close that distance a little better and maybe flank in behind the enemy players. I find that's really helpful with an Akimbo build. We're once again using Extended Mag 2. This time we're using the CQB grip to help with our sprint out time, since aim down sight time is irrelevant. And then I'm topping this off with the fast motion laser. And I just wanted to point out, while technically the steady aim laser gives us a better hipfire spread value, when you're implementing omni movement into the equation, if you're sliding or diving, that steady aim laser ends up being far worse than the fast motion laser. And for me, especially if I'm using Akimbo, I'm trying to be as aggressive as possible. I'm sliding around like crazy. I'm throwing some dives in there as well. And in that case, the fast motion laser is a far superior option. However, if you're the type to not really slide or dive very often, then at that point, you're probably better off with the steady aim laser. And with that, that's finally gonna wrap it up for today's gun guide on the SAUG. As for my thoughts on this gun, I personally really enjoy it, especially with the mobility and the aim down sight strafe speed. I love being able to strafe in gunfights with this, and I've had a lot of success with this gun. But in saying that, statistically speaking, when you put it side by side with the other SMGs, it's just not the best SMG in the game. It's up there as one of my favorites, but it is outclassed by SMGs like the C9 and the KSV, at least in my opinion. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about the SAUG so far in those comments down below. And also, if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, including the Krieg C, we did cover that one, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.